Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to uncover the hidden production magic behind, well, literally, one of the biggest pop tracks of the entire decade. You know it, you've hummed it, but today, we're popping the hood to see how this engine actually runs. So, why does Flowers sound so undeniably massive? Obviously, the empowering lyrics in Miley Cyrus's raspy, incredible vocals are front and center. But beneath that, there is an absolute masterclass in audio engineering happening right below the surface. Seriously, it's no accident your brain is obsessed with this track. It was meticulously engineered to be completely irresistible. And the results really speak for themselves. 17. That's a record-breaking 17 weeks this track spent stuck at #1 on the Billboard Radio Songs chart. It totally dominated global streaming and snagged Record of the Year. And it pulled this off by mixing a super specific blend of 1970s nostalgia with some incredibly pristine, cutting-edge modern engineering. All right, here's our roadmap for the explainer today. 1. Anatomy of a smash hit. 2. The magic of layering. 3. Shaping groove with sidechain gating. 4. Sweetening the mix, ear candy. And 5. The psychology of contrast. We're unpacking the exact producer's toolkit that takes a basic piano demo and transforms it into a worldwide phenomenon. Let's jump right into Section 1, Anatomy of a Smash Hit, the perfect blend of nostalgia and modern polish. We're going to look at the fundamental DNA of the track. This collision of eras is the core sonic strategy here. The producers, Kid Harpoon and Tyler Johnson, purposely smashed two completely different musical eras together. On one hand, you've got these retro elements, a funky disco bass line, mellow Wurlitzer electric keys, and really obvious structural nods to 70s anthems like Gloria Gaynor's I Will Survive. But if you just hit record on a live band playing those instruments, it would sound, dated. So they forced that organic, mellow twang of 70s soft rock through the hyper-clean, punchy filter of modern digital production. They added electronic sub-bass and highly compressed, incredibly tight digital drums. The result? It feels warmly familiar, but hits like something entirely new.
Moving on to Section 2, the magic of layering. Building the fat, rich sonic cake.
This is our first major technical trick. How exactly do producers make a track feel physically heavy and wide? Well, it's all about treating sound like a cake. Back in 2012, musicologist Alan Moore proposed this idea of functional layers. The concept is that you don't just use one single ingredient or one instrument for a part. You stack them. You're building immense depth so the track sounds fat, rich, and juicy without just turning into a muddy mess. To build this specific pop track, the producer stacked 5 functional layers. The explicit beat is setting your rhythm. The functional bass is holding down all that low-end rumble. The harmonic filler is giving us the chords. The melodic layer is, of course, the lead vocal. And finally, the novelty layer adds these unique, ear-catching little textures. Every single frequency, from the deepest sub-rumble you feel in your chest to the highest sparkle of a cymbal, is perfectly occupied. So the big takeaway here, when you're listening to Flowers, you are almost never hearing just one bass guitar or just one piano. You are hearing a hybrid super instrument. Just look at this layer cake. They took a real Fender Jaguar bass, graded the pick, and stacked it right on top of a deep analog synth sub-bass for serious weight. They took a classic Wurlitzer electric piano and literally glued it to bright Juno synth stabs so the chords really pop. They layered vintage-sounding live drums with perfectly quantized synthetic shakers. They even took live violins and heavily processed them with a digital tool called OTT compression to bring out that gritty, textural scrape of the bow hitting the strings. It's an absolute beast designed to sound unbelievably rich. All right, Section 3, Shaping Groove with Sidechain Gating, the power of negative space. Now, here's where things get tricky. Once you stack all those massive layers we just talked about, you've got a brand new problem: mud. If you don't control these layers, it all turns into a chaotic wall of noise. To get that infectious, bouncy disco groove, they had to tame the drums. Naturally, drum sounds have tails. The sound rings out, overlaps with the next hit, and makes the rhythm feel sluggish and lacking punch. But with gating, they aggressively chop those tails right off. They are actually using negative space, so every single drum strike hits incredibly hard and then instantly vanishes into pure silence. The exact technique they're using is called sidechain gating. Think of it like having a super fast, invisible hand on the volume knob. You set up a hidden trigger track, and every single time that trigger hits, the gate snaps shut and completely mutes the drum tails. By sidechain gating the hi-hats and drums, they carved out this wonderfully tight, choppy, strutting rhythm. It forces you to bob your head, but it leaves all this clean, empty space, and the delicate guitars and the vocals are never ever getting drowned out. Next up, Section 4, Sweetening the Mix. Ear candy. Subconscious hooks your brain loves. Now we're talking about the secret weapons. These are the tiny, microscopic details you probably didn't even catch on your first listen, but I guarantee your brain absolutely loved them. In the industry, they call these ear candies. They're like hidden Easter eggs tucked way back in the mix. In Flowers, we're talking about heavily filtered glass percussion just ticking away in the verses. There's a wildly distorted organ pad lightly hovering under the chorus vocals to add some grit. Right before the drop, there's this reverse tremolo effect that builds a ton of subconscious tension, and there's a subtle kabasa, which is a type of shaker, just constantly driving the groove. All these little treats spice up the arrangement so that simple four-chord progression never ever feels boring.
And that brings us to the ultimate piece of ear candy in the track, a classic call and response technique. Analysts love to point out this vintage, 70s style oboe synthesizer patch floating around in the chorus. It's basically a flying mirror. When the lead vocal sings a line and takes a breath, that's the call. In that split second of empty space, this little nasal synth jumps right in and echoes a variation of the melody. That's the response. It's acting like a musical mirror, constantly reflecting and confirming that empowering message of self-love right back at you.
Which brings us to Section 5, the psychology of contrast, the slingshot effect. Let's unpack the climactic trick that makes the chorus absolutely explode out of your speakers. See, when you want a chorus to feel massive, you can't just crank the volume dial. If everything is loud 100% of the time, nothing is actually loud. You just get ear fatigue. Instead, producers use an incredible psychological trick called perceived loudness. You are essentially tricking the brain into feeling an explosion of power by using a sudden, jarring contrast with absolute silence. In Flowers, they pull this off using what experts call the slingshot effect. In a typical dance track, you'd completely expect a massive kick drum to land right on beat 1 of the chorus. Boom! But here, they completely drop the drums on beat 1. That's winding the bow. It creates this sudden, split-second vacuum of silence. Your brain gets momentarily disoriented, which builds incredible tension. And then, on beat 2, bam! The release. The full band, the heavy drums, the thick layers, the vocals, they all explode at once. By pulling you back into silence like a slingshot, the groove hits twice as hard when it finally lets go a fraction of a second later. This whole concept is perfectly captured by this quote. Just like a white diamond looks brighter on black velvet, a melody feels louder when it emerges from a moment of silence or thinness. That is the absolute core of this song. It relies heavily on contrast. It uses total restraint, chopped up gated drums, and quiet little moments in the verses, all so that the anthemic joy of that chorus feels like a massive, undeniable victory. So once you start tuning your ears to catch those invisible, functional layers, the gated silence carving out the groove, and all those hidden pieces of ear candy bouncing around in the background, you realize something pretty profound. A great pop track isn't just written in a notebook. It is engineered, it's sculpted, and it is psychologically designed to be completely unforgettable. So the very next time you find yourself tapping your foot to a massive hit on the radio, take a second and ask yourself, what are you actually hearing beneath the surface? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and hey, keep your ears open.